Leaving in this, man, I can't say enough good things about y'all.
Having Deshaun out there will be great for Shedeur.
I don't really care about Shedeur right now.
I hope I can get the first interception on him coming back.
Next step, be scout team.
Potentially, yeah.
What we do in there, we're going to keep it in there for sure.
We can talk about Shedeur, but that running back they have is legit.
Previous cameras captured a sideline encounter between you and Jerry.
Yeah, we resolved that. We're not going to speak on that. What I would have done different, I probably just probably taught them off camera.
Let's switch the subject.
Maybe it's a clean house time.
In general, I agree with him.
You know, just can't spill all the beans now. You gonna ask me what's the game plan this week next?
It's not fun at all.
You wanna know what plays you running next to?
The good teams will figure it out.
Trust takes time. Taking risk is like, just hope.
Tailgate just getting started on what looks to be a cold, miserable, gross day. That's exactly what we had, I think, the last time we had this shot last week. Just a nasty day down at the stadium. And some might say this is a nasty game. Browns and Titans, two of the worst in the NFL. Titans right now, the worst, coming in at 1-11. Browns a comfortable 3-9. They're going to avoid that top pick in the draft. They're comfortably avoiding the worst team in the league label, but they're not much better. Mark Schwab, Eric Metcalf, Josh Cribbs with you. Gentlemen, on a day like this, if you're playing in a game like this, what's this like? I don't want to. This might be a dumb way to approach this because players always think they can win. But is there a little sense like, oh, we got a pretty good chance today?
I think they know they have a chance to win this football game today. If they just go out there and play Cleveland Browns football, especially on the defensive side of the ball, they're going to be able to stop Tennessee and limit them to scoring points. It's a matter of whether the Browns offense can go out there and get some points, move the ball down the field. And if the Browns offense is able to do that, then I think they win this game handedly.
Well, it's interesting. We put it back on the the offensive side, and if we score more points, simplified, we win. Right, so it depends on how our offense look. We want to see progression from a lot of people. I think at this point, we want to see, a victory. It's time for some type of progression that happens because of coaching, because of the players. The players are getting better. Some type of progression, and that should lead with a W.
I also want to mention one, provided we don't let special teams blow up again as well, because this playing against bad teams.
Right.
That's what got us beat against the Jets, right? Special teams. So we can't let this keep happening.
Yeah, and it seems that every time there's good play from either offense or defensive side, there is a special teams snafu. It could help you in the same way. Like myself and Eric did. Scoring a special teams touchdown, return touchdown, dramatically changes the game. In the introspect of that, you can lose a game on special teams giving up the same returns.
They've had a couple of games like this already. You mentioned the Jets game, and I'd go back to the Miami game, and those were two of the ones, along with this one on the schedule, you thought, man, that looks like a team that is definitively worse than the Browns. Miami looked like it. The Jets looked like it until they ran two kicks back. And this is another one. Tennessee, I know they had the number one pick in the draft, and they got Cam Ward, and we'll talk a little bit about him, I guess, as the day unfolds, but he hasn't been great. They've already fired their head coach. I don't know what they did in the offseason to get significantly better, but it did not work. They are horrible.
I'm
not pulling punches.
No, you're not. They are horrible, and it shows on the film when you watch them that they're not a very good football team. Like you said, they lost their coach. They lost arguably one of the greatest offensive lineman coaches in the history of the NFL as well. And so when you go out there and watch them, it's not a very good football team. And so I think that's where the Browns need to capitalize on that, knowing that they know they're not a good football team. And so the Browns could be if everything went well, but it just hasn't gone well. So you got to go take advantage of what they're putting on the field. And then you on the other side of that, you have football players who know you're not a good team. So you start thinking about don't get hurt. You start thinking about contracts. You start thinking about everything.
But that should help.
But that keeps you from playing hard all the time as well.
It does. But when I look at the Titans, just like we looked at the Jets, what is the Titans' record?
1-11.
We looked at the Jets the same way.
Yeah, they were
it
1-7.
only happened whenever we looked at a team that was, on our schedule. That man, if we look at the course of games that we had, it looks like teams look at us like that.
Oh yeah, right.
They're looking at us like that.
They're
today.
like, oh, that's a winnable game.
Jets were earlier though. Now you're towards the end of the year.
You think the Titans ain't looking? You think they think that we're not a terrible team?
You're week 14. It's time to go home.
Yeah, no.
They didn't lose.
They are absolutely thinking of this as a winnable game. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk a bit about the quarterbacks, of course, in this show, Shedeur and Cam Ward. But what about Deshaun? A little Watson news this week. We'll talk about it next.
How you doing?
I'm just happy that I'm healthy playing football in November.
I'm glad to see it for you too. I just need you to stop tipping me if you don't mind.
No, God, no. Dude, your 5-sack game was crazy. Keep going, man. It's fun to watch. Please don't break the record today. But
Okay,
I'll tell Brock to give you 1.
maybe 2.
Dude,
hey,
what an honor.
sorry about that first hit, bro.
Are you kidding me? You got me in the game. I woke up.
Now, Bench Strength, sponsored by Wayside Furniture.
That is outstanding. Don't break it today, but break it. All right, bench strength. And look at this. We got to have a Deshaun Watson conversation because he may end up coming off the bench at some point. We all know the record here. It's been 3 years of misery and an assortment of injuries as well, but he can practice now. They're letting him practice. You got a hunch on how this is going to play out?
The fans won't like it, but Deshaun's contract says otherwise. It's not anything else other than business. And his possible asset, to the quarterback position. He does fill a void, even if it's at number 2 on your roster as the backup. He fills a void. He's capable. And if need be, we would have to call on him. Just look at how the room was at the beginning of the season. We had a plethora of quarterbacks with Pickett and Flacco in the building with what we already have. And look at the room now. So it begs the question, like, why not? It's not advertising to our fans. Our fans don't want this. We've seen all the content. We've seen all the hosts. But it's what's realistic and what's practical. We can't pretend as if he just forgot how to play ball. The type of football we've been seeing from quarterbacks around the league, he has value. No matter how you like it or how you square that up, he has value either at the 1 or the 2 position with the Browns. I won't say unfortunately, because I'm for the Browns.
Right.
Whatever helps us win or could possibly put us in our best situation, that's what I'm for, not my emotions.
Yeah, when I think about Deshaun Watson and look at what he's done through the course of his career, at no point in that he played or any of these guys on the roster better than him have they ever been better than him.
Right.
None of these guys have ever been better than Deshaun Watson, provided the play calling is there, provided he has protection and not healthy and being healthy as well. So I think that if you're going to provide all those things that I just mentioned, the play calling and protection, and then you should put the best quarterback out there and see what happens with this team.
All right, more on Deshaun coming up a little bit later in the show. I want to transition to special teams, certainly something you guys know a lot about. Bubba Ventrone this week, along with Grant Delpit, with different angles on some of these special teams problems.
I think that for right now, what our roster looks like, I think Gage is our best option.
I think special teams is just more of a, like a 1-2 in the moment type of stuff. You can prepare all you want, but you got to be willing to get that effort. So that's all it is.
No, we haven't made a ton of personnel changes. There's only so many guys you can play. There's only so many guys on the roster.
All right, that sounds like Bubba is saying we don't have that many good players, and it sounds like Delpit is saying a little bit more of its execution than players. How do you see this? What do you
Both can be right at the same time. They're both right. They see the effort, the lack thereof, and the players. I'm sure Bubba is watching the film like, this guy right here, oh my gosh. And he has to play them. It's a 53-man roster. And understand for people watching, when there's an injury on a core offense or defense, that backup comes from special teams. His replacement comes off of the street, not necessarily all the time practice squad. They come off the street, and then in 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, the coaches have to prepare that guy to play core special teams because the other guy who plays special teams is now playing core offensive defense. That sometimes is brutal for your team, and you see it on film when you give up a punt return or a kick return. But is he not telling the truth? I know we want sometimes our coaches just to be very generic and just say, oh, we got to do better and we got to –
We're actually tired of hearing they need to get better.
We're tired of hearing that. And I have a breath of fresh air, and of course they have to do better, that he's just saying, hey, it's this, what we already saw with our own eyes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that honesty.
Now, he might be talking about they don't have the players that are out there to be successful, but at the same time, it goes back to what Grant Delpit said, talking about wanting to do it. You have to want to do it because, and we look at teams. There are a lot of teams that guys are playing are starting and have to play special teams, and they don't really want to because they want to put all their effort into being on first team offense or defense. But at the same time, you're one of our best football players. That's why you're starting. And so if you're applying the same ability in special teams as you do on offense and defense, we can be successful. And so I think that's what a lot of coaches do.
All right, when we come back, how much are injuries impacting the Browns this year? The answer might surprise you. Stick around.
They really don't do a lot of just complicated stuff. They do the stuff that they're good at.
I'm not going to compare myself to Myles Garrett.
You know his name, and we all know his name.
I'm a fan of his game.
He's got everything, man.
Winning hides a lot of stuff. When you're losing games, losing reveals everything.
Game's got to slow down a little bit more for him, and I think it will in time.
There's no one in this building talking about the number one pick.
I look my chops against anybody, so it's no different here.
The Injury Report, sponsored by the man that makes them pay, Tim Misney.
All right, the big injury news right around now, Malik Collins got hurt last week. He's done for the year. He has been good for them. It was a great free agent pickup for them, the 6.5 sacks. He gets the pressures, the tackles for loss there. We've talked about on this show at times of how great Myles is, obviously, but how well the supporting cast on that line, how well the job they've done. And Collins, certainly a big part of that. They'll miss him.
They definitely will. The supporting cast. You know, he was the guy that stood up when Myles is getting double and triple team. You know, you wanted for a few years now, we wanted other guys' names to pop up, right? We didn't want always, for the Browns to have to go out and get a guy late in his prime, to try to get another edge rusher that's, has a big name, to try to garner attention from teams to allow Myles to get off. But definitely this is felt, and now we see Andrew Berry's depth that, when we talk about personnel, who we got on defense, again, even though defense hasn't been an issue, they're becoming depleted. The game is about attrition, like how long we, can stay healthy.
When you're not a winning team, you want your best players out there, and that's why this hurts so much, because he was your second most productive guy on the defensive line.
Yeah.
And so you think we're going to show up and win and beat the Titans. You just think that, but because you're losing players, and we're a bad team as well, because you're losing players, it makes these games harder when you don't want them to be that way.
And we're going we had the graphic up. Browns among the league leaders as far as not losing guys to injury. What that tells you is they're not that hurt. They're just bad. I want to talk about Kevin Stefanski for a minute.
Come on, man.
This from Jeremy Fowler.
It hurts when you say that.
I know it hurts,
Hurt
man,
my
but
feelings.
sometimes the truth hurts. He's an NFL insider with ESPN. With Kevin Stefanski, yes, he would be a viable head coach candidate if the Browns move on from him. He's hearing that from not just one, multiple league executives. Does that surprise you?
It doesn't surprise me. I've been saying all along, when we have some of the greatest fans in the world, right? And they're that way because they're so passionate. Because if our coaches and players don't behave and act like they need them to, we're calling for a new head coach. And it's kind of incumbent upon me to see what's going on and say, pump your brakes. Actually, he's not a bad coach, or, he needs to be just coaching and not being an OC or this or that. When I look at the rest of the league, there's not a guy out there available who I feel like will come to the Browns to try to right this ship. This is a tough ship to settle in and then steer traditionally after the Browns return. Not in Eric's case with the cardiac kids, with that great era that I hear about. But in this era, this is not an advertising position to garner head coaches on their way up, right? It's almost a career killer. So when other teams look at Stefanski, they don't see what we see. So the outsiders will look at our team and unbiasedly judge us. That's why somebody who doesn't have a stake in this, in what we have here, they'll tell you the truth.
So I think when you're looking at Kevin Stefanski and Jeremy Fowler talking about coaches, other teams wanting him as a head coach, I would wonder, do you want him as a head coach, or do you want him as a head coach and play caller? Because that makes a difference, because I don't know if as a play caller you would want him, especially when we've averaged, like 17 points a game, 15, 17 points a game since he's been here. But as a head coach, he might have proven to some people that he can get the best out of his players with all the injuries that we've had in the previous years. And so it's all about what you're looking for in a guy when you're talking about Kevin Stefanski, because if you're just looking at this team, I don't see it.
All right, so this from the OBR with Malik Collins now down for the year. Who steps up for the Browns' interior defensive line? Certainly something to watch for today and the rest of the season. When we come back, it's more quarterback talk and a pigskin poll question. I think I know where the folks are going to stand on. Tailgate continues on 19.
Now the Pigskin Poll, sponsored by your Northern Ohio Hyundai dealers.
All right, we do this every week. We take a question, we put it on the news. I ask the folks to go and vote. The folks go and vote. Let's start with you guys here before we get to the results. Who is the best quarterback on the Browns roster? Based on what we talked about earlier, I have a feeling y'all are going with Deshaun, but I might be wrong.
Well, I think if y'all put that up for the fans, which I know y'all did, you should have said how you feel. Who's the best that you feel? Because that's how people are going to answer, not necessarily statistically or actuality. The proven guy is noticeably Deshaun Watson. I know statistically it probably some different things, but Deshaun is the best.
I wish you stopped trying to be political.
I'm being politically correct.
What you feel, Deshaun
There is
Watson,
some fine pie slicing going on over here.
Deshaun Watson is the
Deshaun
best
got hurt.
quarterback.
He's the best quarterback. He got hurt.
Roster,
He got hurt
sure.
on the way to score in the red zone.
Right.
His stock was rising, and that's when he got hurt. And it was a shame.
He's the best quarterback on that roster. That's not taking
Until
anything
shown
from
otherwise.
These guys. Right. These guys can maybe develop into one of those guys, but what we have seen from Deshaun throughout his career, even prior to here, and then even flashes while he was here, we know that he's the best quarterback if put in the right situation.
I have not been the biggest Deshaun Watson fan at all, but I would completely agree with you. I believe he's better than what we have. Here's the results, to no surprise. Shador running away. Well, not running. Yeah, I'd say running away with it, getting almost half the votes. I am a little surprised that Dylan Gabriel is dead last. The folks like Bailey Zappi more than Dylan Gabriel. That might be accurate, by the way. I don't know, but what do you guys think when you see that? I'm not surprised.
This is a popularity contest right here.
Oh, totally. Yes.
That's what this was. That Shador
I am surprised at that.
I'm not surprised.
The end of that.
I'm only surprised at Dylan being last because, I'm not surprised because everybody wanted to see Shador earlier. And so that they were calling for his head to
There's
get
baggage
Shador
there.
right? And so that's what I think it's
Not
about.
just that, he had enough games.
He did.
Yeah.
With no progression that we just sat there and saw bad football.
Yeah.
That's it. I think no one wants to see him,
Nobody's going to get excited if he comes back into the
and ticket sales will drop.
All right, we do this a lot of weeks
I'm
as well.
sorry.
They're called blind resumes. Producer Chris takes two players, removes the names, shows you some stats, and these are two quarterbacks. Quarterback one, quarterback two. Who do you like here, gentlemen?
Quarterback one.
216 TD
Quarterback
passes.
one, no question. And I'm going to be mad when
We're
I
all
see
going to take
64%.
quarterback one here because
Of course.
your eyes
Chris
tell
do
you
that?
to
The
take
producer Chris did.
quarterback
When I see
one,
this
and then we're going to
result-
find out quarterback two is like Tom Brady.
Right. I'm going to be mad when I see this. I know it.
What do we got? Fire away here. It's Troy Aikman against Ryan Tannehill. All right, first of all,
I can see that.
I got to give mad shout out to producer Chris for
that
two
was
of the
a-
most random names we've ever had
that
on
was
that.
a
You're right.
flashback.
Aikman never was like a statistical monster. If
He
you played
had
fantasy-
monsters around him.
Right.
He was basically every quarterback. Having all this, I'm conscious of what I'm saying, like an Ohio State quarterback. They traditionally don't,
Yes.
draft the best quarterbacks. Or Miami Hurricanes, when Ken Dorsey played. But he had all these athletes around him. Had the best receivers. Had the best running backs. Defense. If you look at that Dallas team, the Texas team that Troy Aikman played with, they had movie deals. All of them. The Little Giants, you had Smith out there. They were a time ahead of their time period, playing for, so-called America's team at that time.
Yeah, I think Troy Aikman, of course, is a Hall of Fame quarterback. He could have been. We don't know if he could
Because he won a Super Bowl.
We don't know if he would have had numbers like that.
Right.
Because of his team, because they were able to run the ball so well.
Irving and boys.
Tannehill comes later.
Here's a wild thing about Irving as we go to break. Aikman. If you played fantasy football in the 90s, which I did, Troy Aikman was a terrible pick. He was not a stat monster.
Wow.
He really was not. But Hall of Fame career, obviously. Tailgate continues. We're going around
That
the
sound
AFC.
like a dig.
What's going on with Mike Tomlin? Does that guy deserve to still have a job? We'll talk about it next.
I think it's ridiculous to Pittsburgh fan base chanting fire Mike Tomlin. Like that.
I know.
Number one, we're not even an organization that's just firing coaches. Number two, that's like loser, man. I was very shocked by that.
In general, I agree with them. From this perspective, football is our game. We're in the sport entertainment business. And so if you root for the Steelers, entertaining them is winning. And so when you're not winning, it's not entertaining.
Maybe it's time. Maybe it's a clean house time. Maybe it is. Maybe it's time. And I like Coach Tomlin. I have a lot of respect for Coach Tomlin. But maybe it's best for him too.
Around the AFC, sponsored by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
Wow. All right, Josh, just go. You have things to say.
Nah, just not saying that.
To Roethlisberger, you're saying don't say that.
And I've played against Roethlisberger for years. As a player in college, he went to Miami of Ohio. I won wars over him, by the way. We beat Miami of Ohio, and then he got drafted. But anyway, and then him as he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. That was your coach. That was your guy. And you guys are still valuable. You guys are not the worst in the league. You guys are are they not top in the AFC North? Like, what else does Tomlin have to prove?
Yeah, they're tied for first.
I'd rather be tied for first. We would rather switch positions with them.
Uh-huh.
I just, how I don't want to say how dare them as a fan base, but when winning doesn't, when you have to win it all, to be the barometer, it's 32 teams out there. Your team is always above 500 every single year. You're not us. You're not this other team. Your team, I just think how, the being ungrateful is just a trait that I don't even know exists now.
See, for me, Roethlisberger, when he said I like Mike Tomlin, I have respect for him. Most players, if they really did, would say, I loved him. I loved playing for him. He was my guy. If you really, really care for this guy, that's what most players would say who had long careers with a particular coach. And for them to ask for Coach Tomlin's firing, I can see it because they expect to win a Super Bowl. They've won Super Bowls in the past in their history, and they want to continue to do that. But what he's produced with bad football teams and bad players,
they don't have a quarterback.
What he's produced over his career is second to none. I mean, and if they go ahead and fire him, that dude will have a job in 15 minutes.
Less than that. Let me say that.
That'd be 14 longer than he actually needed.
Let me say this really quick. I scored most of my touchdowns, return touchdowns against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hey, that makes two of us.
Right. I mean,
there's a reason Cleveland loves you guys.
Around the country, I would go and meet Steelers fans, and they would give me respect. When I coached against Mike Tomlin as a special teams assistant, he met me at the 50-yard line. I was doing drills with the punter, and he's Cribs, respect. And that's what he said. So I always have respect for him because most of those games that we won, most of those games that I scored in, we lost.
Yeah.
Even no matter how good of a game, we lost. And it was like, man, but it was games that I ran the Wildcat and that we won here on Thursday night. I would never forget. And the respect is due sometimes. Right. I think fans or NFL fans should kind of respect that guy for what he's done.
All right, speaking of respect not being shown, we're going to go back to the sideline last week. CBS caught this. It didn't make it on TV. They put it on social. Jerry Jeudy getting into it with Shador. And this, I don't even need to tell you guys this. This looks bad. The optics have been bad all year on Jeudy. This was probably the worst one yet.
It was. And for me, a player who's been through something like that with a former quarterback of mine.
You let him have it?
I was going to give him the business. How about
you
that?
You was giving him the business?
No, he was yelling at me.
Oh.
So we had a particular play, and he had a funny accent, and I confused the play by one word, and it changes everything. You know how that changes everything. And I ran the wrong route. And so we're winning the game by 2 scores. There's like a minute to go. We just don't get the first down and have to give them the ball back. We're not going to lose the game. We get to the sideline. He's
ripping you.
Yes, yeah. He's giving it to me. And I looked at him. I said, I will give you the business. In other words,
choice words?
I said some choice words.
I will meet you in the locker room.
Talking to me like this, I will give you the business. We are paid by the same people. you're not my boss. I don't care about us winning or not right now. It's about respect.
Yeah.
And so when I look at that situation, I think it was a respect.
Perspective, though.
That's what I'm looking at.
We're a losing team. Winning teams don't. This is not a story on a winning team. Kelsey cusses out Andy Reid every other week.
Yeah. All right, that's true. That's true.
We see that.
One more gas on the burning fire of their bad. Here's this from OBR. How do you limit the impact of Jeffrey Simmons? He doesn't get as much talk as how bad the Titans are. He's one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL. He is absolutely incredible. That weather is not. And this game is probably not going to be incredible, but maybe the Browns get a win, and it feels gorgeous afterwards. Tailgate continues right after this.
Now the Quick Picks, sponsored by your local Kia dealers.
All right, check this out. This is a trend that we've seen over the last couple of years here, a few years in the NFL. Team takes a quarterback in the first round, and very soon afterwards, their head coach is fired. We've seen it this year with the top two teams alone, with the Giants and the Titans. The Bears moved on from their guy. The Patriots moved on from their guy. The Panthers and the Jaguars. Jaguars had Urban Meyer. That was kind of its own dumpster fire. But you look at that and you think, what's going on here? Why does the coach not get time to develop the guy? You guys see anything here?
Yeah, so those we probably have to dig a little deeper. The situations, aren't tenable beyond that. So if you look at their past and what they did, their new first-round picks, they were the head coach before those first-round picks. You was getting those first-round quarterbacks for a reason. And when you got them and you still couldn't do nothing, that was like the final straw for a lot of those guys to be able to. If they weren't able to do it with this first-round quarterback, they were going to be gone anyway.
But a lot of those quarterbacks on that list were the first pick in the draft. And so when you're terrible. When you're the first pick, your team is terrible. And so you can't expect a coach to automatically win with that guy as soon as he comes in, just because you don't have the roster to do it. It's going to take time. And so I think they're getting a bad deal because they're not getting the opportunity to build these teams and possibly develop the guy that they brought him in for.
Yeah, they're tasked to get that guy ready, NFL ready.
In a hurry.
All season.
On a bad team.
In an off season.
And a lot of
you
times,
don't even get a year.
You don't even get a year. You get rookie mini camps and a full off season. All right, I want to switch gears. I want to go back to last week, which we don't do a lot, but this one was worth getting you guys to react to. Shelby Harris in the locker room. I was there, and he just popped off reacting to Juwan Jennings of the Niners, and this was surprising when a guy goes from just regular talking about the game to this.
Yeah, he's a hoe, and I want that known. Like, I see why he got punched in the nuts, because that's he says some things that you should not say to another man ever, but I don't respect it because you say that, then run behind your O-line. That's some real soft and I want that known. I see exactly why they punched you nuts. I'm surprised nobody punched him in the jaw yet.
Apparently he reacted, Jennings reacted in a way when Malik Collins went down, and that's what set off Harris. What do you guys think? You've kind of been in those moments to see a player react that way.
I think it's personal. I think, he could have had a run-in with him, or he knows people who had run-ins with him, and the type of personal talk that we're saying happened to cause him to do that. He's not a player that would just come off like that. So there's obviously something that we need a prerequisite conversation to say, oh, now we understand.
Yeah.
But even if it's not personal, he must have said something outrageous that just triggered everyone. Right,
Absolutely.
Even if it wasn't to him, because if you speak to my teammate like that, I feel like you're talking to me. So it's the same thing,
right?
And so that's why he was triggered and went off as he did.
I mean, and it's one thing if sometimes you have guys that just always talk, they run their mouth, they talk trash, and if somebody like that has those comments, like, that's just his next thing. Shelby Harris is doing that.
Right.
Like I said, he's just into us with a perfectly normal interview, talking about things, and all of a sudden somebody asked about that, and boom. It's like, okay, sometimes it's who is saying it, not so much what is being said. Here's a look at the inactives for this week as we head into the Browns and Titans. Couple of linemen on there, Teller, Conklin, Teller in that rotation that we've seen lately.
Two best.
Josh doesn't like it. For an hour, 21 away. Add ticket from kickoff between the Browns and Titans. Stick around on the tailgate.
could have easily said, I make too much money to be out there on this field. With 2 rookie quarterbacks, we don't really know where we're going right now with the franchise, and I don't really know what's going on in that building, but, I mean, and it's kind of a similar situation as us right now. And when you turn on the tape and you turn on games on Sundays and stuff like that, you're like, what the hell? Like, this guy's unreal.
Now, who needs to deliver? Sponsored by Jets Pizza. Jets, better because it has to be.
2 of the premier defensive linemen in the entire league on the field today. Browns, of course, Myles Garrett. Simmons right there for the Titans. He is fantastic. And you liked his comments there of like, we're both kind of in similar situations, right? All they can do is go crazy and play as hard as they can. They cannot control whether or not the teams score touchdowns for them. They're 2 of the best.
Yeah, now I understand what Phil Dawson said when he was like, you know, he came up to me and was like, I get to tell my children I played with the great Josh Cribbs. I was like, oh, man, that's when I look at people who play with Myles Garrett, and I witnessed that as a coach there, I'm looking at how great this guy is on the field. And forget the game. If he has a record-setting day again, like it's like, wow. You know, that's one of the excitements that we get to see as a fan base. I actually watch the defense play more than I am excited about the offense at times. I can't wait for our defense to get on the field to see what will he do this time. That's how good of an athlete he is.
Yeah, as good as these 2 players are, it's painful to see that they're playing with porous offenses because these guys can change games. And if the offenses on both sides were capable of going out there and scoring points, they could probably win a lot more games than they have won. And so I like that he said that, and he acknowledged the fact that, you know, both teams have rookie quarterbacks, and they're trying to build on these teams. But it's rough when you have a guy like that because he can wreck shop. And in order for them to win today, he's going to have to wreck shop more so than Myles will, I think.
Yeah.
You know what? There was a time, there's something called in NFL, and a lot of fans don't know this. I wonder if they had it during your time. There's something called a buddy. And it's when there's a run play, and he's looking at me. You already know where I'm going at. And I'm supposed to crack either the safety or the corner, and it's like we're going to stay healthy between each other. Like, all right, it's over. Like, the DB will literally tell me, like, all right, you good. Like, you can stop blocking. And literally won't even be disrespectful and say, no, you can stop blocking, or else I'm going to start cutting him or start blocking him the whole game. I wonder if that's done with Myles Garrett. So it's like, man, come on, man. Like, take it easy on me, bro. Or, all right, you can take a play off. Like, give me one play, bro.
Hey, man.
And we can go at it the next play.
Nobody's trying to give up no sacks.
Exactly.
You don't want the record broken on you.
I wonder if they're talking before the game, like, come on, bro. Like, I know you about to do it, but come on, bro. Don't let me lose my job out here, bro.
like the guy from the Niners. Hey, just don't do it today.
Yeah, not today, bro. Come on, man.
You know, and it's what Myles is doing that made, for a lot of us that watch this team, and certainly the big fans, what they did in the offseason, where I called it an unserious approach to solving quarterback. And they really didn't do anything to add playmakers other than drafting Judkins. They are wasting Myles Garrett. They are wasting a guy who, if Jim Brown didn't play for this team, would probably go down as the greatest player in Cleveland Browns history. He will go down as one of the greatest defensive ends to ever play this game, and certainly one of the greatest of his time. And they have no answers for the offensive problems that they've had long before he even got here, and they are wasting a guy. It's infuriating.
I equate this to the Ravens when they had Dilfer, and I thought it feels like this team thought defense would be so good they can just show up and score a few points and win games as the Ravens did back when they won the Super Bowl. And so, like you said, they haven't put much effort into getting playmakers. And if you don't have playmakers, you're not scoring points. I don't care what kind of play caller you are. You have to have guys out there who can make plays. Plays make play. Players make plays. Plays don't make players. And so we don't have guys out there who can go get it done.
I only disagree with that because we drafted 2 quarterbacks. I think they're trying. I don't think there's nobody out there that's available that's not already making $40 million a year that we can get, like a guy at receiver, a guy here and a guy there. You need guys, not just hopefuls.
This is the easy one for me, and it's as we go to break. They missed on Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart looks like a really good player for where he was picked in the draft. Browns could have even traded up from the second round to get him, as the Giants did. They didn't do it. They missed on the eval. They always miss on the eval. Odell Beckham Jr. somehow can't get by on $100 million. Another guy they missed on the eval. We'll talk about it next.
Follow the Money, sponsored by Cardinal Credit Union.
You give somebody a 5-year, $100 million contract, right? What is it really? It's 5 years for 60. You're getting taxed. Do the math. That's 12 a year, that you have to spend, use,
save,
invest, flaunt, like whatever, however, just being real. I'm gonna buy a car, I'm gonna give my mama a house, I'm gonna do, everything costs money. So if you spending $4 million a year, that's really $40 million over 5 years, 8 a year, And now you start breaking down the numbers, it's like, that's a 5-year span of where you're getting $8 million. Can you make that last forever?
Oh, my gosh. Okay. There's moms and dads watching this show that are playing shell games with credit cards to put together a holiday season right now. And this moron is dropping the old Patrick Ewing line of, hey, we might make a lot, but we spend a lot too. That is a you problem, OBJ. Can you imagine this?
Perspective. So he's basically, it's a movie called The Joneses. The Jones. And Keeping Up with the Joneses. That's the the saying. He hangs around with, Hollywood celebs and this lifestyle that once it's over, that money has to survive in that lifestyle. In L.A., whatever big city he wants to be in, whatever jet he want to fly on, it's perspective, and he needs a lot of it. He played in Cleveland. I'm surprised that he didn't understand that. I had a big awakening, understanding this early in my career, how taxes work in my first contract, as little as it was.
Who is FICA?
when I realized how I had to negotiate differently, I always look at after taxes. Yeah, no matter what I do, it's always after taxes.
We got about 30 seconds left in the show, Josh.
It's a tough situation because, like you said, it's keeping up. I'm saying keeping up with the Joneses is what gets a lot of these young guys, and he said it himself. He's got to pay this, pay that, and then he said, most importantly, flaunt. And see, that's the word that triggers everything. When he's talking about flaunting,
yep,
keeping up the lifestyle.
It's
perspective.
With any budget, there's needs and wants, and when you can't prioritize that, you got problems. Hopefully, the Titans have problems today, and the Browns get a win. Kickoff coming up for Josh
Dogs.
Cribbs and Eric Metcalf. I'm Mark Schwab. See you.